Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Between the Frames. I'm your host, Roz Ackerman. And today we are going to be talking about standing out on Instagram. So I hope you're comfy. I hope you are ready to listen and maybe take some notes. I got a lot to share with you today. I think there's really two halves to this episode. So the first half, I'm going to be talking obviously about standing out on Instagram. But then I am also going to be sharing with you some insights into what has been changing in Instagram, especially in 2026. And you've probably noticed and felt some of this already, but there may be some things that you guys are not aware of. So I'm going to share some sneaky little tips with you. And then, yeah, I just think it's so crazy to think about how far Instagram has come, like truly as a platform. When I look back and think about like the square filtered, like highly filtered images that I used to share, and you could just drop like a one-line caption, like, I don't know, by the beach, wish you were here, or some, I don't know, just something kind of monotonous. And I feel like that was good content. I don't know how many years ago this is now, probably like almost 10 years ago. Anyway, we have come a long, long way. And it truly is an amazing tool for you to be using in your photography business. So if you are not using Instagram, maybe you're really prevalent on other platforms and you just don't feel like you need to, but I would encourage you to have some presence. I do think, yeah, Instagram is just where a lot of people are finding me these days. And there are some very specific reasons why that is happening. But before we dive into all the nitty gritty, just to give you a little update for those of you who are watching my video on YouTube of this podcast, you'll probably notice I did it. I got the chop. I have my chic little bob now. I don't think I've had a bob haircut since I was like 17, maybe. So it's been almost a couple decades. And has it been more than a couple decades? More than a couple of decades. My gosh, I'm really aging myself. Yeah, I am loving it. I did last year, literally the last time I got my haircut over a year ago, I did kind of go for like a happy medium with a long bob that was maybe just above my shoulders. So it was pretty long. It was on the long side. And I feel like that was just me testing the water. Like, okay, let's see if I can rock something a little bit shorter and still make it work. And I also think I was not quite ready to just like give up that ability to have long, gorgeous like waves and curls. Yeah. And then also, I do think I had like major trauma because when I was a child, my mom always used to cut my hair super short. I had very fine hair as a child, and I truly don't know why she did this, but like up until I was maybe even 8 years old, I had a short boy haircut. And yeah, I think that has given me some trauma. So it took me a while to come around to the idea of cutting all my hair off, but I put out a little poll on Instagram. So if you voted, I'm very grateful. Thank you for giving me that little confidence boost. Yeah, I truly have no regrets. Like so far, I mean, this is bedhead. I put like a cute little braid in the side this morning just to kind of keep the bangs, the fringe out of my eyes, and that looks cute too. Honestly, my Instagram feed is flooded with like how to style your bob right now. It's so funny, but it's so helpful. And yeah, this is bedhead aside from a little braid. And yeah, okay, the right side's doing something funky, but you know what? I like it. I think it looks good. So that is that. And then what else have I been up to? So I think I probably already shared with you guys in my last episode. I am losing track with what's been recorded and what's been said. It's very hard to keep track of that. But I'm pretty sure in my last episode, I shared with you that I had a elopement coming up in Twin Lakes. So that took place last weekend. And oh my gosh, it was just the best day. It was a long day because I drove there and back the same day. And it's about 2.5 hours from where I live. But it was a stunning drive, so I wasn't mad about it. And the couple were just incredible. So warm, so loving, just so, so sweet. So on like spending the day with them, honestly, it's like pinch me. Am I even working? And yes, I was, because I was running around in the heat trying to get all the angles. And I did have to sprint up a hill to go and get the bouquet because that had been forgotten right as we were about to start the kind of exchange of vows. So yeah, I definitely got a workout that day. But yeah, I had the best time. I kind of had to pivot quite a bit because it was super windy, and the location that they had originally selected was kind of on the more northern lake side. So there's like two lakes, twin lakes. And that part, I think because of how dry it's been this past winter, there's just like a lot of exposed sand in the lake area. And I guess it's just like, it's not compacted. And anyway, it was extremely gusty wind conditions. And so in that part of the lake, it was whipping up all the sand into a literal sandstorm. Like I pulled up in the car park and I got out of my car to just go and video what was happening because it looked insane. And honestly, there were people on the beach just chilling in their lounges and they weren't moving. And I was looking at this sandstorm freaking out. I honestly don't know why they weren't moving. Anyway, I got back in my car and was sending the video to my clients. And then the sandstorm like literally whipped around my car. So it was kind of scary. But obviously we decided not to hold the ceremony there. And because I always like to have a plan B and C, we went to the other locations that I had picked out as backup options. And I had also gotten there with a lot of time to spare, which was just as well because I needed it. And yeah, the other location turned out to be such a success. It was gorgeous. And the people who were there when we arrived disappeared. Like they literally left. So we had this whole entire secluded beach area to ourselves. It was so stunning, truly. So I'm very excited to be sharing more from that session very, very soon with you all. Okay, I think that's enough of me talking about what's going on with me. Let's dive into this episode. Okay, so I also do want to just mention that my husband and I pre-recorded a episode all about social media with a lot of helpful social media tips in it. So I will be sharing that one soon too. So if you do have follow-up questions after this episode, please still share them with me, but hopefully maybe that episode will also answer some of your questions. Okay, let's stay on track now. So right now I'm finding that I've kind of found a good rhythm with Instagram. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not very good at scheduling out my week. That is just not really something that I've been able to figure out. I don't know if it's because I'm a mom and things are just hectic, but all that I really kind of try to hold myself to is that I post a minimum of 3 times a week on Instagram. And most of the time I'm sharing more than that. But other than that, I'm sorry. I'm not very good at scheduling out exactly what I want to share that week. Sometimes I will just kind of jot some ideas down on my to-do list or in my AI app that I use. So I use Claude. So I kind of have like a just ideas list that I will just jot things down into. But I quite often with Instagram and just things in general on social media, I'll kind of like ideas just kind of pop into my head as I'm interacting with the platform. And I'm not just, hopping on trends, but I'll see something that someone shared and it just kind of inspires me. So that's kind of where I get a lot of my inspiration and creativity for Instagram from. And so it's for that reason that I don't really hold myself to like a strict schedule of, okay, on Monday, I'm going to post exactly this. On Wednesday, I'm going to post exactly this. Now, saying that, I do still try to make sure my posts are kind of covering different bucket heads or categories. And that is what my other episode talks about, these different categories. So I'm still kind of aware of that. But like I said, I'm not mapping out my entire week of content on social media because that doesn't really work for me. So that's something I'm not doing. There you go. But yeah, I am things that I'm currently posting that I feel are working pretty well for me I think Reels, everybody's found Reels by now. They really took off in 2025, I want to say. And yeah, if you're not doing Reels in 2026, then you need to be doing those. And I love to start my Reels with a little behind the scenes clip. Either it could be something from my perspective. So whether that's my phone on top of my camera, so you can kind of see like a little bit of my camera in the frame, or whether it's, I also have Ray-Ban Meta glasses, so whether I'm wearing those and you can kind of see me holding my camera then, and I do like that perspective quite a lot too. I think that engages my audience pretty well. So those are a couple of ways that I get behind the scenes, but recently I have also been using my DJI, my Pocket Osmo 3. So I have a couple of different setups for being able to use that. Obviously, you can just kind of whip it out and grab a quick clip of your clients. I feel like I used to stress out about pausing taking photos for like 10 seconds, which is insane. I know that. But truly, like, you're not going to miss anything. Don't stress too much. And you know what? If you did, like, you could grab a still from your video clip if you're recording on something like a DJI, because you will get pretty good quality stills from that footage. But anyway, it's literally like 10 to 15 seconds, guys. You don't need to get too much more than that. And so you can just do that, grab your DJI, get a quick clip. Or I do have a couple of accessories that I've been using lately. One that sits on the top of my camera's hot shoe. And that one I kind of had success with. I feel like I need to try it out again. I did struggle a little bit with its exact positioning, but I think that's because I had like too much, what do you call it? I have like padding, I guess, or what is it? Silicone, like a sleeve on my Osmo. So I don't know. I'm just kind of struggling with where exactly it sits on top of my camera so that it's not kind of bumping me in the head. But that's because I really like to use my camera's viewfinder a lot. I am not one of those people that does great just looking at the LCD screen. I don't know why that is. I don't know if my eyes are sensitive. I just kind of struggle to see like the exposure and everything. I don't know. Anyway, if anybody has any tips on that, please let me know. But I love to look through my camera's viewfinder. So the DJI on top of my camera, it does work. But again, I just kind of need to fiddle with that positioning. And then I found a new one which positions my DJI to the left of my camera, which I love, but just be mindful of the fact that if you have a zoom lens, then occasionally when you are fully zoomed out, you might get part of the camera in your video footage. So if you don't want that to happen, then just kind of be mindful of that. You can always crop it later, but yeah, it was really fun. I did use my DJI in that way. So it's positioned to the left of my camera at my elopement recently, and I'm really excited to try to put together some kind of cinematic film clips for the couple. Just, yeah, I really want to challenge myself to be offering more to my clients because I don't know, I need to stay competitive, right? A lot of photographers are becoming like these hybrid creators. So yeah, learning how to create more and yeah, just 2 for 1, really, right? I'm already getting the photos. I may as well try to get the video at the same time. Yes, it's a little bit to think about, but I feel like it's just like consistency and reps. And once I build that habit, it's going to become second nature and feel a lot less stressful. Okay, so that was a big roundabout way of talking about behind the scenes and how to use it, how to capture it as well. So there's a lot of different ways. DJI phone, Meta Ray-Ban glasses. You can also use a phone tripod. And I do this mostly in studio. I find it's a little trickier to do outside because I'm moving around so much. But that's a great way to get your actual body in front of the camera for those behind the scenes clips. So make sure you are doing all of that. It really gives your content so much more to offer to your viewers. I think it builds trust. They see you. Yeah. So make sure you are doing behind the scenes and incorporating that into your reels. I did have a reel just this past week, I think, and I shared a a really beautiful clip that I didn't even realize I had. Like, I was literally just scrolling through my DJI video clips, like to see what I had on my memory card. And I was like, I totally forgot that I had all this. It was from when I went to Oregon for a photography retreat with Vow and Venture. And yeah, so it was a styled elopement. And this was where I had the DJI on top of my camera. And honestly, I think because the scenery was just so breathtaking, it was like on the cliff edge. It was so dramatic looking. Her hair is like blowing in the wind. It's misty in the background. The sea is kind of like stormy. I feel like the clip was just so dramatic and cinematic that even though it was maybe 5 seconds of that clip, it was hardly anything. And then immediately followed with a series of photos from that session. It just performed so well. So yeah, I was kind of shocked by that. I was like not expecting it to perform super well. I mean, you always hope it will, but it really took off. I was like, whoa, okay, what's so enticing about this content? And for one, I think it was that dramatic cinematic clip that opened up the reel. It really just like hooked the viewers. And then two, I think I did have a good hook on there as well. And then three, audio is always super helpful too. So yeah, just things to look out for. And I am aware that my children are about to arrive home any minute. This is mom life. I'm squeezing these podcasts wherever I can. And for some weird reason, the door to our bedroom will not stay closed. Like the latch is not catching. So my door just like blows open when the AC is on. And I try, this is hilarious. Like I literally try to keep my door closed with a pillow. That is what I have like just decided that that's how it's going to be. I'm living my life with forever stacking a pillow in front of my door to stop it from opening. No, I will get this resolved one day, but for now, this is the resolution. And anyway, that pillow just fell down and my door is blown open. So if my kids come home, they will absolutely hear me. So I am just going to press pause and figure out that pillow situation real quick. Okay, I'm back. Hopefully I have resolved that issue for the time being and the door will not blow open again. Okay, so we're talking about what I am currently posting on Instagram and what I am finding is working well for me. So aside from behind the scenes and creating reels, the other things that I am sharing, again, this does kind of speak to behind the scenes, but essentially real client moments. So things that happen during the session, whether it's a toddler acting out or I don't know, parents kind of having a moment just laughing with each other, just kind of showing those authentic moments that happen during a session to just normalize that experience for people who kind of look at these pretty pictures that you're producing and think, well, that wouldn't work for me, because I think that is such a common fear and such a common hesitation for people. They don't want to make that investment when they feel like they're not going to be able to produce the same material for whatever reason. And oftentimes, if you're working with families, it is that idea that, like, well, my kids are so terrible. They behave so badly. Like, we will never get amazing photos like that. And I think we all know, if we're family photographers, that couldn't be further from the truth. I think almost every family session is somewhat chaotic. There are going to be moments for sure where children are just not cooperating. And so we need to show that reality and that perspective so that potential clients feel confident and yeah, that trust is just kind of built up for them so that we're reducing that friction point of, well, these photos are not going to turn out well for me. So why would I bother spending all this money? Okay. So client moments. And then even if you're not sharing a video clip about client moments, you can kind of share the story too. So I think an example of something I shared recently was how I did a newborn session for parents who they were not really ready to be in front of the camera. They really just wanted the focus to be on their baby. And I completely empathized with them. I know how I felt postpartum and I know how I looked. I mean, to be honest, looking at the little bags under my eyes right now wasn't a whole lot better than I do today. But no, I was for sure sleep deprived and it was all over my face. You could see how tired I was. And yeah, I think there is that genuine concern that, look, I don't want pictures of myself where I don't like the way I look. And I completely understand that. That is hard. So kind of supporting these parents, I explained how obviously we can focus on the baby, but how I can also incorporate them into images where they feel they're still a part of it, but they're kind of softly blurred into the background. I was really intentional with how I captured those parents. And then I produced a post that spoke directly to this point. So I was kind of sharing their story and showcasing how I was able to use light and angles and aperture to create this kind of soft, blurry, like a memory kind of gallery for them. So just being, I think, always thinking about, well, what kind of questions do my potential clients have? What kinds of fears do my potential clients have? Or what was the story in this particular situation with my clients? So thinking about things in that way is going to make your work stand out more. Your words are going to sound more authentic. People are going to immediately find it easier to connect with you. They're going to start to build trust with you. So anytime you can kind of just bring in that client component, the story element to your captions, yeah, it's going to be super, super helpful. So I've been doing more of that. And then I've also been trying to appear in front of the camera more. So I'm not just sharing personal stuff from my life and kind of like videos of my kids or photos of my kids, but I am literally putting my face in front of the camera as well. And obviously, now that I've started a podcast, it's a little bit easier. But I will say I'm just thinking about how I can connect with my audience, primarily moms, more and more. And part of that is, okay, well, here's the outfits I'm wearing as a mom with two littles. Here's the haircut I'm getting. Cause again, I'm a mom with two littles. I don't have time to be styling and washing my hair all the time when it's super long. Like that just doesn't work for me. So get in front of the camera. Like you need to be showing your face. I am so confused when I go to follow other photographers and I cannot find a single photo or video of them. I am immediately just like, well, who am I talking with? Who am I sharing this space with? It doesn't feel good. It feels kind of off. Like, yes, I like your photos, but like, I need to know who you are. It feels like a very intimate thing now following people on Instagram. Yeah. So I encourage you guys to do all those things. And then obviously you want to be on trend as well. So I would say use Instagram as a search tool. More on this in a little bit. For trending audio, so you can literally search trending audio. You can search elopement photography and see what's popping up first, see what audio they're using, see what kind of hooks they're using, because those are important too. I do think consumers are becoming more and more aware of hooks that feel fake or inauthentic or like they're kind of like clickbaity. So I would probably steer clear of those. Just, pick what feels true to you. Okay. If you feel comfortable sharing that, then you're probably good to share it. All right. Good to go. That being said, don't be afraid to be a little bit embarrassing too, like showing that you have a sense of humor and that you don't take yourself too seriously. I mean, at least for me, that's kind of the way I go anyway. Like it endears you to people. So there's my little nugget of wisdom. Okay. I think that covers everything about the type of content I'm posting. No, it doesn't. One more thing. So with posts, I think pretty much everyone has noticed now that you can do posts with like carousel posts and include video clips. So I highly recommend doing that. I think users are getting really bored of swiping and just seeing the same type of content. So if you immediately do one picture and then a video clip, that just kind of switches things up. And I think it literally is like exciting the brain. It's kind of giving them like a dopamine hit, which is crazy. I'm not proclaiming here that I know anything about the science behind it, but I'm just kind of thinking about like how people interact with visual formats. So I think when they get that unexpected change, there is like this little trigger of a dopamine hit. So yes, mix it up and mix it up quickly. And then think about other things that you can include too. Like, so you might want to include a well-polished clip and then you might want to include some iPhone behind the scenes, because I think people like that mix. They like to see the end result and they like to see a little bit of the chaos. All right. As well, what else? So carousel posts with video included. And you can also do this. So I use the Scroll app quite a bit. And that way I can kind of lay out my images in a really pretty gallery format. I have had a tendency in the past. I've really struggled with picking my favorite images, and I think I overshare. So if you are someone that posts like scroll type gallery carousels, and I will say if you are sharing more than 12 slides, I think that might be going a bit too far. Don't worry, you're not alone. I struggle with this too. You want to share it all. But I think you need to leave the user with kind of wanting more, because then that way, instead of just like feeling like they got to the end of a really long carousel slide, maybe they actually hop onto your profile and see what else you have. So I encourage you to kind of go with that format of less is more. All right. Try to limit yourself to 12 slides or less and see what happens. I'm trying it myself. I think it's only going to be positive. And then if you have more to share, think about other ways in which you can share it. Maybe save some of it for a reel. Maybe turn it into a blog post. Maybe create some kind of YouTube short. I don't know. I'm just giving you ideas, okay? But try not to share all of your images in one post. Okay, so we've crossed the line now. Excuse me, we've crossed the line. We've talked about what I've been doing, and then now we're kind of into that realm of what I'm not doing anymore. So we just talked about that. I used to overshare. I still have that tendency, but I am doing my best to not overshare anymore. So there's one for you. The other thing I'm not doing, I don't know that I ever really did this, to be honest, because I have always struggled to stay consistent with social media. I feel like there's so much going on every day that it is a struggle. You have to be very intentional. I have to prioritize or it doesn't get done. But just posting for the sake of posting, I would encourage you not to do that. I do think the quality of your content still needs to be there. I don't think Instagram cares as much anymore about posting every single day to kind of develop this consistency that favors in terms of your algorithm. I think consistency does help to build trust with your brand, but I don't think it's really doing anything on the side of Instagram in terms of your algorithm if you post every day or don't. Now, saying that, I do still think you need to be somewhat consistent. So if you like post a couple of times one week and then you don't post for 3 weeks, I do think that is going to negatively impact your algorithm. So just keep that in mind. I don't think you need to post every day, but I do think you need to establish some kind of regular rhythm with your content. And then here's another one that we're not really doing anymore. Hopefully you're not, because it's kind of boring. Sorry. But just like stock caption openers, for example, this was a dream session, or swipe to see more, or sorry, I think I'm going to have a sip of water. Yeah, I don't know. When I'm saying these, does this kind of resonate with you? Like, oh, I do this, or oh yeah, I hate when I see captions like that. It's just kind of boring and not really engaging. That's kind of how I feel about it. I think like if your viewers are even reading your caption, you've got to be super intentional with the words that you're using. Like, and I know that can feel a little overwhelming, but I don't know, have AI help you with it, okay? Like AI can get really good at helping you be more concise and sound more casual, or just kind of reorganizing your ideas a little bit. Like I have a hard time and I use AI and then I'll tweak whatever AI comes back with. You know, it's helpful, it's time saving, it's efficient, and it's getting out the information and the viewpoints that I want to share with my audience in a way more succinct and palatable, oh my goodness, hard words to say, way. So I encourage you to use AI. I know we're, I don't know, photographers and many people are scared of AI, but as a mom, a very busy mom, I gotta say, it's literally a lifesaver. I don't know if I would be able to continue to stay competitive in this business if I was not using AI. So there you go. I'm going to do an episode on AI at some point. And I'll probably make that one an interview because I have connected with essentially an AI expert who's been teaching me a little bit about Claude and how I can use Claude to just kind of time save some of those like grunt tasks, I guess, like the really boring behind the scenes tasks that nobody wants to do, like super admin based. Oh my gosh, absolute game saver. So if you want to make sure that you get that episode, don't forget to subscribe, follow, do all those things. All right. So you don't miss that episode. Okay. Anyway, coming back, let's see, what did I get to? Okay. So we're not posting for the sake of posting. We're being intentional. We're not using stock caption openers that are kind of boring and don't really speak to our audience and are just not really delivering a message that like a message at all. Okay. Like you need a message. Like, what are you saying in this caption? Like, why are you sharing this content? Yeah, there has to be a point. And then we touched on this already, but we're not posting every single image from our sessions. Try to show some restraint. I think that is part of being a good photographer and artist, right? I think you need to have that selective eye. And if you are like me, where you are an overshooter, culling is real hard. I know. It's super hard and super time consuming. Again, AI. So yes, if you're an overshooter, you're probably going to find this incredibly hard as well, but you really need to do your best to go through your galleries once you are at that delivery stage and select like your top 10 to 15 images. Like what images are worthy of being on your website? What images are just so incredible that you know they will stop viewers when they see them? Okay, those are the types of images that you need to be sharing. And that does include detail images. I think the detail images are great. They add that storytelling component. They add context to what you're sharing, if that's your vibe. So do include some of those, but absolutely really just kind of look at things with a sharper eye and be very selective in what you're sharing. Okay, what else are we not doing? I think we're also not just chasing every single trending audio and reel format. Like, yes, jump on the ones that speak to you, that you identify with. I think I shared one, this is a little while back now. It was probably still this year, but it was Bridgerton based. I love Bridgerton. I'm from the UK. I'm British. Like, I love those kind of period dramas. And obviously, Bridgerton is like a little bit saucy. So it gives you that little fix as well. But yeah, so I absolutely love the show. So when all those reels started coming out with the Bridgerton soundtrack and the music from it, I was like, 100% I am creating a reel with this Bridgerton music. Like I'm doing it. I'm going to do something funny related to photography. So I'll grab my camera, dance around with it. Like, yes, jump on board the ones that you connect with, that you find funny, or that take your breath away. Because if they feel like they're connecting with you, then they're probably going to connect with your ideal client as well. But yeah, don't just do every single trend that is out there. Be selective. Yeah, I don't think your users, your viewers, your followers are going to enjoy just kind of hook-based content all the time. Okay, so here's kind of some things that I would encourage you to move away from. We've covered a lot, but these are ones that are not really landing with me anymore. So the super long, overly polished carousels. I already said it. Try to limit yourself to 12 slides or less. I just think users are kind of getting bored of swiping all the way through. So, I mean, I would be impressed if they even made it past 10 slides. Maybe your work is incredible, but just keep that in mind. I mean, how are you interacting with content? Are you making it past 10 slides? I don't know. I don't think I am. I do think Instagram is doing some dangerous things to my brain. Like I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I feel like it's giving me ADHD. Like truly, it's kind of wild. So I do need to take like a little pause maybe this week, a little break, like set some limits. I'll set, you know what? I'm going to set up my phone, put a little limit as to how much I can consume on Instagram on a daily basis. I think that'd be really good for me and my brain because it truly feels like I'm a butterfly all over the place right now. Okay. I don't really love the generic kind of carousels where it's like 10 tips for this. I don't know. I feel like a lot of the time they could they could be written by anyone. So that's probably why they don't really resonate with me. But if you like doing posts like that with kind of lists or like 5 things that I do at every photography session, like I would just say don't go too heavy using those all the time. I think they have a place, but just not all the time. That's me personally. I don't know. Maybe there's still really great ways to perform on Instagram. I just don't love those for myself. And then I don't know if anybody is still doing this. I feel like there are some photographers out there who are still very intentional with the aesthetic of their grid. So it's like every 3 posts has to be in black and white. Or I don't know, that's just an example to so you understand what I'm talking about here. My grid does not look like that at all, but I also don't think it looks a mess. Like, I think my imagery all looks kind of consistent. The editing style I have is pretty consistent. Like, I feel like my grid looks cohesive without me having to be super intentional. Like, okay, well, what did I just post yesterday or last week? And then counting how many grids, like, oh, I can't share this type of image. Like, oh, that's exhausting, in my opinion. Hey, if you still like to do that and you think it's working well for you, then by all means, but I'm just giving you permission here. I don't think you need to do that anymore. Yeah, power to you if you are doing it, because that is a lot of intentional work right there. So you're kind of amazing, in my opinion. And then this is the stuff I don't really like. There's a lot of fake stuff on Instagram that is claiming to be real. I actually just saw one yesterday where this hairdresser has her client in the chair and she's filming the whole thing. So like the phone is kind of like propped up and I guess on the mirror so that you're getting that angle of the client and then the hairdresser, the stylist behind the client. And they're having this conversation like she's just finished her hair and the girl in the chair is like, where are my highlights? Like, you're supposed to do highlights. Where are they? And honestly, I didn't even read the whole thing. I just saw like the caption in the comments were blowing up. So I was like, what's happening here? Essentially what happened is, the hairstylist claims that the client was banned because she kicked up a stink. She said that she couldn't see her highlights and she wasn't going to pay until she got what she wanted. And the stylist said, well, you are going to pay because I delivered a service. And if you want to come back and get more highlights, then you can make another appointment. And so it kicked off because people were like, is this real? Also, like, the client was right. You can't see any highlights and, you should kind of deliver what she's asked for. If you haven't provided her with what she asked for, then she shouldn't have to pay you until that job is done. So a lot of people were like on the side of the client. And then a lot of people were questioning whether this content was real. And I did see that the hairstylist, I mean, there were a lot of comments, so it makes sense that she probably couldn't get around to responding to all of them. But I did notice that she had not responded to a lot of comments. And then there was only a couple where she had responded, yes, this is real, unfortunately. And then there were just a lot of comments like, this is not real. We found the client on TikTok. Some people were saying she was her sister. But anyway, my point being, whether it was real or not, I have a feeling like it came across like it was not real because of the whole setup. So yeah, I don't really love those kind of performative reels on Instagram that are clearly trying to trick the audience or the user. I think that's just kind of enhancing the fact that people are so distrusting of what's being produced on social media right now. So if you start incorporating content like that on your feed, I think it's going to give your audience a hard time. Like, they're not going to know, well, what's real, what's not. Like, I think just consistently be real and true so that you can continue to build trust. Like, trust is so integral in our business. Like, people are not going to book with you if they don't trust you. So I caution against doing any kind of fake, funny reels like that. I mean, I don't know. Are they funny? I don't think so. But yes, the stage stuff I don't like it. Okay, so I think big picture, what I'm kind of saying here a lot is that we do want substance over performance and quantity. Okay. I feel like my husband would still kind of argue with me on this point. He has been in the kind of content producing game for decades now. When he owned his first CrossFit gyms, he was the first to kind of create a Facebook community and group. He created a YouTube channel. He would video his whole like gym, working out. He would video everything. He would spend all night like editing, clipping. I mean, he's not an artist by any means. I think he had an eye. He understood like what do viewers want to see, and he would share things. And I really think he just kind of created a name for himself that way. So he has been in the content producing game for a long, long time. And I think he comes from that sort of old school mentality where quantity over quality. One of his favorite phrases is done is better than perfect. And I can't really subscribe to that because one, I'm a perfectionist. And two, like I am creating visuals that are going to attract people. So to a certain extent, I don't need perfection, but I do need things to look good. So yeah, I would say don't follow my husband's lead if that's the way he still thinks. I don't think we discussed that recently. We'll see what he says, but I'm pretty sure that would be his answer. So in my opinion, substance over quantity, on what you're sharing on Instagram. Okay. Now let's move into part 2, which I did kind of allude to at the beginning of the show. So Instagram isn't just social media anymore. It's not just Instagram. What does that mean? There is this new layer where actually it is becoming like an SEO tool. So it's basically become a search engine. It's really interesting. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but if you go to Google and you'll search for something, like sometimes I will try to search on Instagram, but if I can't find it, I'll go to Google and I'll type in exactly what I'm looking for. Like, hey, what's that Instagram trend right now with XY or whatever happening? And it'll pull up different Instagram posts, reels, all that kind of stuff. So what you're sharing on Instagram is becoming trackable, it's becoming searchable on Google. So that's super interesting, which kind of means like in the past, I think I definitely had that opinion where I would spend more time on my website SEO, so on like blogs, for example, because of the longevity of it. Like I know it would exist in the Google space and be searchable for essentially ever, versus Instagram being more like short-term content where it would kind of disappear, Now, that's not the case anymore. Like your Instagram content can still live on for a long, long time if you are using good keywords and you're making it as discoverable as possible so that Google is essentially indexing it, which is kind of crazy. Now, the second thing is that Instagram has also become a search engine. So you're probably already doing this without really realizing, but maybe in Instagram, you're going and trying to search for something. So for example, I did this recently with my bob. Before I got my haircut in the bob, I wanted to see how I could style it. So I was like, oh, let me see on Instagram, like some bob hairstyles for one, so that I would have some good examples to share with my hairdresser. And then two, how can I style my bob? So I used Instagram as a search engine for that. And now, of course, my feed is absolutely flooded with influencers and models who have got these bob haircuts. And, but yeah, it's super interesting how you can do that now and find exactly what you're looking for. Sorry, I thought I was going to have to pause them because I can hear my 5-year-old has come home and she's kind of stomping around. She's a delight. I love her to death, but she's quite dramatic. Quite dramatic. Okay. No, she just wants to see mommy, which, I am the best, so I can't blame her. All right, where did I get to? So yes, Instagram is a search engine. So if you look up, for example, Denver family photographer in Instagram, it's going to pull up a bunch of accounts. It's probably also going to pull up a bunch of posts and reels. So you guys, what do you think that means? I think it means that if you are not using those keywords in your Instagram bio and in your captions and as text overlay on your reels and in your reel captions and as your hashtags, then you are missing out, okay? If your caption does not speak to what you do or who you serve and have those kind of keywords in it, then that content is not going to be indexed. It's not going to be associated with what you're providing. It may find its way there, but I don't know. If you're just trying to be like super poetic in your caption and you're not actually saying that it was a photography session or that you are a family photographer, then it's going to be harder for Instagram to know what the content is about. So as well as other people being able to find you, it's also Instagram's way of being able to decide who it should share your content with. So I'm sure you've noticed Instagram will make recommendations of who you should follow based on the type of content that you're sharing or the content that you've been looking for. So, I mean, guys, you got to jump on this. You've got to be using those keywords in your captions. One second, I need a quick sip of water. And as well as in your captions, if you are not doing this, okay, I got a real top tip for you here. I'm sorry, I know this is more work, but you do also need to be renaming your file names before you share them on Instagram. I am not quite sure what happens if you add your photos into the Scroll app and then download from there. I don't know if your file names essentially become non-existent. I wonder if there's a way that I can check that. I will have to have a look in that. But if you are downloading your images from your gallery, let's say, or exporting them from Lightroom, and they are just labeled image 521, no, you have to relabel that image. I mean, you should be doing this anyway if you're going to be putting those images on your website or like on your blog. But even if you're sharing them on Instagram now, you need to be renaming them with file names that kind of match what's happening in the picture or that describe the type of photographer you are or the type of work that you were producing in that image. So just for an example, I'm trying to think of something. Let's do one from my session last week, my Twin Lakes elopement. I would call one of my file names Twin Lakes Elopement, Colorado, Lakeside Ceremony, or something like that, if it was one of the pictures from the lakeside where they're having their ceremony. So just kind of the details of what was the session and what is happening in the photo. And then in addition to that, if you are sharing these images, not as a reel, but as a post, like a carousel post, then you're also going to want to go into advanced settings before you share your post. And you're going to want to add alt text. So it's alternative text for each image. And this is the stuff that I've talked to my husband about before, and he doesn't do any of that. I mean, he's not really sharing a ton of images, I'll say. He mostly is doing reels, but he's like, yeah, okay, now I kind of understand why it takes you so long to post on social media. And I'm like, yeah, this is why I cannot post every day, because I am being super intentional to make sure that my content has the most longevity and the furthest amount of reach possible. So if you're not doing that, that is a top tip and a key takeaway for you today. Rename your files and then make sure you're using that alt text feature on Instagram. If you're not sure where that is, I will try to provide a kind of detailed description of where to find it in the show notes. I'm also going to reference a lot of the things that I talk about today. So when I talked about Claude, whatever else, any other resources that I mentioned, then I will mention them all and detail those kinds of things in the show notes. So always worth checking out my show notes there. Okay, let me just double check that I haven't missed anything about why Instagram is so amazing now. I think I would just like to add in there that I think I already said, use those keywords, not just in your captions, but on text screen too. So if you are putting text on your carousels, make sure you're using those types of keywords. So we're talking about the city you're in, the type of photography you do, or the services that you have, and even kind of describing what's happening in the picture too is helpful. Okay, I think that covers that section. And I've been talking for a long time now. And like I already mentioned, my kids are home. There's chaos happening downstairs. I'd love to stay with you, but I probably need to go and intervene at some point. So let's see. Things that you can do this week just to kind of keep it simple and achievable. So I think the lowest effort with the highest impact is going to be renaming your image files. I would say if your website, and I know we're talking about Instagram, but I'm going to do an episode on SEO for websites at some point. But if you were just kind of having this thought all of a sudden, like, I did not rename any of my images that are on my website, I would urge you to start the process of taking those images down, uploading new ones with file names that are going to serve you so much better. So use those keywords, okay? And then if you already have that done, well done. make sure you continue to do that for your Instagram content. Okay. So truly it is still work, I know, but it's going to make quite a big impact. As well with that, make sure you're doing those alt texts. Try not to use the exact same alt text for every single image. I know it's really tempting to just copy paste with the session details, but that doesn't really work. Instagram and Google really want to see that you are being deliberate and intentional and specific with your alt text so that it completely matches the image that you're describing. And again, if you're not using AI to help you with some of these like super high admin tasks, then I really encourage you to start using AI. And if you don't know where to start, again, that is an episode that I have on my list. Make sure you are subscribed to my show so that you do not miss out on that episode when it comes out. Okay, then let's see what else. I think that's kind of my biggest takeaway this week. I would say that. And then if there's one type of format of post that you haven't yet done on Instagram that you've kind of been thinking about doing, I would encourage you to do it. Set yourself a task, set yourself a deadline, like branch out. Maybe that's getting your face in front of the camera on Instagram. Do it. Okay. Like I promise you, your audience want to see who you are. They want to connect with you. If you're listening to this show, you're probably an amazing person. So why not share your personality? I know it can feel really vulnerable and really scary, but it is literally like ripping off a band-aid. Like once you've done it a couple times, you're like, it's not that big a deal. On the whole, I will say pretty much everyone is super supportive. So yeah, don't be afraid of embarrassing yourself or saying something wrong, because I know that's a big fear too. Like, oh, I don't want to get canceled. Just be true to who you are. Try not to be too polarizing unless you have a valid opinion that you want to share. Okay, I think that's about it. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, this was very much Instagram specific today. There are a lot of other platforms out there that I think are valuable to us as photographers. Something that I never really even thought about until I started doing a podcast was how important YouTube content can be. So I would encourage you to think about alternative platforms to be utilizing in your business. I would love for you guys to get on YouTube. I would love for you guys to be using Pinterest. Again, that's something I've really just slacked on. And now that I'm learning more about how Pinterest works and just kind of how useful a tool it is to creators and their businesses, I kind of feel like I've been sleeping on that for a while. So that is something I'm trying to be more proactive about. Yeah, so if you haven't thought about Pinterest as well, then I encourage you to hop on Pinterest too. But just for this week, let's focus on Instagram. Let's start naming our files. Let's start using the alt text feature when we're sharing posts. And then, yeah, let's just keep trying to be consistent with that content and challenge yourself to get in front of the camera. All right. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Between the Frames. I really hope that this episode was helpful for you. If it was and you think it will be helpful to another photographer, please share it with them. And then please, please, please rate, review, subscribe, do all the things. It's so helpful so that I can keep devoting my time to bringing valuable information to you guys. And yeah, content that helps you build businesses that allow you to show up as an entrepreneur, but also as a mom or however else you fit in this world. So that's it from me today. Bye bye.